The back. We got more than 8.
Yeah, we got more than 8. Yeah, 5 here.
Oh.
I'll say it.
Oh my God, 2 plates. Baby. We can probably start. Oh, she's right there. I was like, where's Sarah? Whoever's viewing just started laughing. Be sure. Are the candidates ready to begin?
Heck yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'm ready.
We'd like to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's presidential debate. We would first like to welcome the candidates. You guys may begin by stating your name and the position you're running for.
Where are we starting?
You can start wherever you would like, but this will be the same order for the whole debate.
All right, hello everybody. I think I did my name is Siraj. People call me Sunshine. Last name Telfon. I'm a junior and I'm currently president of the VCU Student Government Association, and I'm currently rerunning for the same office.
My name is Tristan Ledbetter. I don't have a nickname, and I'm running for vice president.
My name is Maybeth DeMarco. I'm a junior and I'm currently the vice president, but running for SGA president this year.
And my name is Sarah Kilman. I'm currently the vice chair of Senate, and I'll be running with Mary Beth for vice president.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Clark. I'm running for SGA president.
Hi, my name is Katie Abbasi. No one's spelled with the J and the D. I'm a sophomore here at VCU. I'm currently the chair of Senate, and I'm running for the position of vice president along with Katie.
Let's give a round of applause to our candidates. The rules for tonight's debates will be as follows. You have 3 minutes to answer each question. Everyone must answer, as well as there's no particular order. However, the order you just went in will be the order for tonight. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, we'll start off with the first question. The first question is this. What is your biggest personal hurdle that you have had to overcome if you are elected into office? The question again is, what is your biggest personal hurdle you have to overcome if elected into office? We will begin with Siraj and Tristan.
All right, thank you for that question. So for me, a personal hurdle that I need to overcome is my general fear, not just from girls, but people who have authority over me. So that's like professors, that's faculty, staff. Just because the way I was sort of raised was you kind of are more humble towards people who have a title above you. But I feel that as SGA president, an important part is to know when to speak up. So for me, a hurdle to overcome is just how I speak to people with authority or titles, things like that.
Personally, I think my biggest hurdle will probably be balancing my time, because I'm coming into my senior year and I'm running for this position, vice president, and I'm also an RA, and I'm just taking that time for myself and making sure that I actually enjoy my senior year will probably be my biggest challenge, and not be getting too burnt out too early, and I finish the year strong.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, what is your biggest personal hurdle you will have to overcome if elected into office? Would you like me to repeat it again?
No.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I would say my biggest personal hurdle is just being in front of a large audience and having confidence in myself to speak about what I'm saying, because I feel like oftentimes I have these conversations with myself where I know what I want to say and what I want to do, but I have a hard time articulating it to others sometimes. So I feel like similar with Suraj, being able to communicate with people above me and to communicate to larger audiences and things like that, which is something that I'm willing to work on.
I think for me, my biggest personal hurdle is making sure that I don't get too passionate about what I'm working on. I think at times I can get a little bit too stressed out because I get too involved into what I'm doing, and that can be an SGA or can be my other student works as well. And I think that's definitely something that I have to think about in the future, is making sure that I don't stress myself out to the point where I'm not able to help the students that I've been elected to help.
I think my biggest hurdle would probably just be taking time for myself, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of the times I'm really dedicated and all about whatever I'm doing, and I don't really take the time that I need to sit back and go, okay, like Katie time, I need to focus on me.
I think that in my time here at VCU, I've been in SGA, like all of it, so I don't really know myself out of SGA, but that's completely okay because I know that, being passionate about it is, what keeps me going and what makes VCU the place where I want to be. But I think I get really emotional at times about issues and that are going on and things that I'm doing. And I think approaching everything with a more positive attitude rather than an emotional one, and saying like when someone says something or votes against something that I'm proposing, it's not that it's against me, but just actually like saying they have a positive intent in doing this. I think just working more on that positive attitude.
Thank you for your answers. Just a reminder, you guys have 3 minutes each to answer the questions, so use your time wisely. If elected, do you think you can actively make change at this university? If so, how? Please provide some examples as well.
All right, thank you. So Chris and I are running on this sort of hashtag of know yourself, know your worth. It comes from an inspirational poet named Drake. And the way we want to run SGA next year is by empowering the student body. There's a crazy ton of student leaders on campus, but I feel like we only interact with such a few amount of people. So if elected, we really want to empower student leaders through Greek Live, the student media commissions, RHA, develop partnerships, not partnerships, just developing like some form of friendship with them so that we can accomplish our common goal of making VCU like the greatest experience that we can. So some actual examples on how we want to do that is if re-elected, we'd like to appoint students into the different committees throughout the university who aren't necessarily from SGA, so it'd be great. Currently in JSGC, it's kind of like people who are in student government or like the other forms of government on campus. So we'd like to see like Greek Life again and like RHA reps be there. Like talking to RAs.
How are we doing on time?
You have a minute.
Okay. Also, like another thing we want to do personally is we want to get like not just like student leaders, but like students in general more involved with SGA. We want to like really like voice for the student concern, and we want to like get that like get the student concerns like apparent to SGA, so we can like start making plans and progress towards like making a better overall experience for the students here at VCU.
So me and my Beth have been in SGA collectively for 3 years, which shows a lot to how much we're dedicated for the student body, and it shows a lot to how much we can make. We've already made a difference on campus. Just as far as the past year, me being vice chair and Mary Beth being vice president, we've had a really strong impact on making sure that the students in SGA feel as comfortable and as powered as possible. And I feel like that is our core mission for our future, making sure that each senator is willing to commit to making a difference on our campus in whatever way they feel fit. The example I want to give is if every senator in our Senate, 40 senators, if they all took one issue that they were concerned about and started working on solutions and started working on how to solve that problem, we could have 40 problems solved on our campus within the semester. And that's our main goal for our future, is making sure that all of our senators and our delegates and our student body are willing and dedicated and excited to come to SGA and work on issues around campus. As far as in the past, what we've done, we've worked with our different departments on campus to make sure that solutions and problems that we hear are coming to us. There's good things and bad things happening on campus that students need to know about. And a couple of the bad things that we've heard is, for example, there was several students at the Bow Street parking deck who weren't able to park at their parking deck on basketball game days. They were asked to leave 3 hours before the game and 3 hours after the game. And that can really impede their process of learning because they have to figure out how to move their car. They also have, it's a safety concern because they're going to be having to go get their car from another location late at night or early in the morning. And I feel like those issues, those are things that we have worked on to make sure that we're solving student problems that come to us, not just hearing student concerns. That's really valuable.
So just to add on to what she said, because she said a bulk of what we have, but a couple of other examples of things that we've worked on in the past and hope to work on continually in the future is with dining. So making sure there are options for everybody and specific dietary restrictions and things like that, and also with the increasing amount of housing concerns when they're going to be is that 0? 30, sorry. When they're going to be getting rid of the reconstructing GRC and so issues like that. So continuing to work with them and partnering with different organizations around campus and administrations to work on those issues.
So I think we'd like to start by saying that we know and are very well aware that we can't do everything in 1 year, especially when you look into it with spring break and winter break taking away so much time, with students not wanting to be as engaged during those break times. We know that we won't be able to solve all of the problems that a very diverse student body has. However, we do promise that we will start the conversation for every issue that is brought to our attention and for every issue that we ourselves see at VCU.
And I think, to me, everything starts at home. You can't go anywhere and be able to help anybody else if you don't have your stuff together. And so I think one of the big things that we have, we're making a lot of different internal changes to SGA. I know a lot of people that are outside of SGA have had multiple issues with SGA, and that's something that we really want to change and help bring to life. So by doing that, that would just be making more inter-branch changes, creating communication between everybody in SGA. And just have an all-inclusive, non-biased student government.
And I think that really stems because we believe that SGA should take a much more prominent role in advocating for total diversity at VCU and inclusion. And this is already a big part of the university's mission, but we believe that we should be actively encouraging student leaders from all backgrounds to represent and bring their unique leadership experience to SGA, much like the real government. And we also believe that we can't really be just one group of people, the same group of people, but we should be divided between a few groups or maybe different seats representing different aspects of the university and different issues that are brought. And if we can get people behind the idea that they're representing a diverse group of students and not just themselves, and the diverse issues that the student body has, our student government will be able to do a much better job of representing the student body.
Thank you. The next question is, what experience has prepared you for this position if elected? I'll read it again. What experience has prepared you for this position if elected?
This will be my third semester in SGA, so I kind of have an idea. I have an idea of how SGA runs, and also through my 2 years of experience as a residential assistant, RA, I have an idea of how to talk to people on an intimate level and how to communicate and how to get what's best for everyone. And I feel like I could transcend that from the RA and previous SGA roles with vice president position.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
The question is, what experience has prepared you for this position if elected?
All right, so for me, I always start my story with, it all started in elementary school when I lost class president in elementary schools to Drew Wiltsey. Ever since then, I had a passion for leadership, and all throughout high school, I developed my leadership skills. And when I came to VCU, I started off in a leadership program. Through ramp camp, I was able to join student organizations like STAT and SGA. So my freshman year, I was lucky enough to be a senator, and within a semester, I was able to become senator of the year. My sophomore year, I had the privilege to be appointed as an associate justice and later deputy chief justice and win judicial member of the year. And then again, hashtag blessed, I got to serve student body as student body president this school year, and I'd like to continue with that. And throughout my time, I've also held leadership positions like as an RA and orientation leader. So I've had experience with a diverse group of students. I feel like that's what sort of prepared me to be president again next year. Thank you.
Can you repeat it?
The question is, what experience has prepared you for this position if elected?
Just to piggyback off of Suraj, it's funny because I also lost my 5th grade election, which is something that has helped me, but also hurt me in some ways, because I think that from a young age that I was intimidated from stepping out of my shell and going for something that I wouldn't typically go for. So in high school, that's where I first started to really push myself to get into like leadership positions and try to build my confidence and make myself better. And then once I got into VCU, SGA was the first organization that I joined, and I joined as a delegate, and then got appointed as a senator, and then have served as a co-chair of a committee and then vice president this year. And just through doing those things and having the opportunity to be in so many more committees because of SGA, I've been able to build my communication skills and be able to build my leadership skills and confidence. So I think that I would be a great leader as a president to be able to effectively speak to not only the whole student body, but our organization internally and build a better environment for our organization.
I totally agree with what Mary Beth said. I think having a background in SGA certainly helps with this position. But it's really important to have a lot of soft skills, being able to talk to professionals when you need to, and being able to be fun when you need to, and also just being adaptable. These positions, both of them, president and vice president, you don't know what's going to be thrown at you. You may think you're going to be talking about environmental concern for this semester. That's what you want to focus on, or you want to focus on transparency. But it doesn't mean that that's going to be the thing you focus on. A case could come up, sexual assault, like it did last semester, and that's what you're focused on. So the ability to be adaptable is really important for this position. And for me, that's kind of what I do. I love, these stressful environments is what I love to do. I love having those challenges and having problem solving and having to come up with solutions. And so for this position, I feel like that's very valuable. But on top of that, communication is very valuable when you're talking with professionals as well as students. And also just having a background in PR can really help promote SGA as a whole. So that's important as well.
I think that all of us up here can agree that we were born leaders. That's just our natural instinct. That's what we go for. I mean, everybody in SGA probably can relate to that. That's who we are. And I think that, those experiences that I've had personally throughout my life have put me in leadership positions that I can make those differences in my own life. So for example, coming to VCU, I was a transfer student. I was kind of I don't know what to do, but I instantly was like, oh, I'm going to join SGA because that's what I want to do. And so coming in, I started as a delegate, just like Mary Beth did, starting off as a delegate and working your way into the deeper levels of SGA.
I think that in addition to my leadership experience within SGA and different student organizations, from 8th grade to now, I've also had an inner drive that has really led me to continue working as a leader in student organizations. I know sacrifices that have been made for my family for me to have the opportunity to go to an American school, and I know that the only way for me to actually have that great experience that my parents have wanted for me and to form a well-rounded persona rather than just, be an A student. That's, my parents have always told me, that's not the most important part of being a good person is. And so I think just always working towards the goal of wanting to improve myself. And I mean, 2 weeks within me being on VCU campus, I was appointed as a senator, and 2 months later, there was a need for a co-chair of the external affairs, and Mary Beth was currently one. And I stepped up for that position, and I had so much support from my friends like Sarah, Mary Beth, and Siraj. And I just know that having a support system and being able to step up when you know that there is a need for leadership and there is a need for change, I think that has really helped me. And also, my intern position with VCU alumni has helped me a lot, and my involvement in Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow has helped me just be involved and learn what the best way to network and create relationship is, not only with fellow students, but also members of the administration, faculty, and staff.
Thank you so much for all your answers. What are your thoughts on the lack of diversity amongst the professors at VCU?
Thank you for the question. So when Tristan and I were writing our platform, we thought of what were some of those concerns, and diversity among our faculty and staff was one of those things. This is a point of information. Last semester, towards the end of the finals, a group of VC students protested or just came into Dr. Rao's office to talk about background concern. And I feel like, yes, the university's touched it, but I feel like there's more that can be done. I think what the student body would like to see, what the faculty would like to see, is concrete, hard details of like how they're actually planning on implementing a more diverse faculty. If you look up online, yes, there are plans, yes, there are programs, but we'd like to see a stronger push towards that. And SGA has sort of has invited student leaders to kind of speak up on that issue. Joint student government has talked over it. I know for Tristan and I, we speak for ourselves, but when we get elected for SGA president, vice president, we want SGA to formally announce that Black Lives Matter and that we'd like to see a diversity at VCU. But that's not just only about race, because we feel that there's other groups that should be diverse in our faculty, like members of the LGBT community and other religious groups.
Can you repeat the question?
What are your thoughts on the lack of diversity amongst the professors at VCU?
My personal thoughts. VCU has this like identity of being a very diverse school, a very diverse university. Like we welcome all types of walks of life, and for like all the publicity we got last semester through the student body about how we don't have that diverse faculty, I think that definitely needs to be addressed. And I think if we are elected president, vice president, we can like advocate for the students, and we can push for diversity in different ways than just through the faculty. Also, we can collaborate with OMSA office, the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, and like plan programs or throw like events like in the Commons Plaza and such to like really create that diverse atmosphere that we have to build our identity off of.
And if I can say one last thing, it's not just the students who notice this concern of lack of diverse faculty, but it's also the faculty. They notice it too. They want to see these changes. So again, if elected, we would like to continue to strengthen the relationship between Student Government Association and Faculty Senate, Staff Senate to like focus on that, because that's not only just a student concern, but that's just a university concern from all places.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a bigger issue than SGA. Obviously, that's kind of what SGA deals with is issues that are across campus, and this we won't be able to solve this problem on our own. And I think as much as we'd like to think that we can solve every problem, as Katie mentioned, you can't solve every problem. However, if we let students know about what SGA can do and how we can help, I think it's really important to note that the students that stood up against President Rao, we had a discussion with them after they had their event with President Rao in attendance. A lot of them didn't even know what SGA was. So it's hard for us to support students on campus if they don't even know what SGA does, who we are, and how we can help. And it's also important that we are reaching out to other student orgs and students and professionals and administrators on campus. I think we'd like to think that everyone is going to come to us eventually, and we'd love that to happen, that if you have student concerns, you come to us. That's what we strive for. But at the same time, we need to reach out to other student orgs and make sure that we are solving their problems, and we can solve their problems without even talking to them. I think that's really important. Specifically with diversity on campus in our administration, we need to have these conversations with faculty senate and staff senate who are already building resolutions on these concerns, as well as continue work with the OMSA office to build diversity and programming around that, such as the microaggression events that academic affairs has been leading. In addition, we need to support our own programming that other student orgs are growing. We have a lot of cultural campus organizations that do foster diversity. And if we can foster diversity in our students, we can grow that movement and build it up to the faculty and get more people, professionals, and professors on our campus. And finally, the biggest thing that SGA does that we really do strive is we do have the Qatar Leadership Exchange, and that's something from the very core of SGA that we really do want to build diversity on our campus, and that's really important as well.
Well, you summed that up pretty well for both of us, but just to piggyback off of that, I think we should just continue to keep working with the partnerships that we have and working with IFC, the Intercultural Festival, and getting organizations and partnerships that we already have and continuing to work with them.
So for us, one of our big things was diversity and inclusion, because that's part of essential of VCU. And so one of the things that Dr. Rao had done whenever he had his big speech is he had put up a training online to help staff and people to understand those issues and things. And that training was implemented so that staff could have this understanding of a broad horizon of different types of people. And the question is that being implemented? And I think that as your student government, it's our job to be putting that in check and balance. Is that, because right now that's the only solution that's been presented. So it's our job to put in into checks and balance to make sure that, okay, are these steps that you suggested being implemented?
And I think an important step would be for us to, again, the conversation has been already started by a lot of students, but it's for us to continue and keep pushing that, because we're lucky enough as a student government members to have those relationships with deans and just members of the administration and people that others think are unreachable just because of their title. I think that it should all start with us educating our members, our senators, our delegates, our judicial members, our executive members, and then going on to educating the student body. The academic affairs event microaggression is a great first step for us to start to educate them. The events, if I'm not mistaken, the first goal of that event was to have a conversation about microaggressions, but all the turnout it was people I don't really know what microaggressions are. How does this really happen on VCU campus? Which is why the second part of the event is being held to continue that conversation, because the first step was to actually educating that this exists and this is real. So I really think that it needs to start with us being educated ourselves and knowing. I wasn't aware of the issues. I wasn't aware that there were not enough, there was no enough diversity with professors. I really did not know that, but just being informed and making sure that you actually listen and participate, and again, reaching out to all of the student body and make it our mission to bring student concerns back to the core of SGA rather than just appropriating money for events.
Thank you. The next question is this. Pick one platform issue. Why do you choose this issue to focus on? Again, it's pick one platform issue, and why are you choosing to focus on this issue?
So we pick academic advising from our personal platform, and how we need to address that. From my personal experience as a student and also as an RA, I've been in communication with students on a very intimate level, and a lot of like concerns they have with like their future is revolves around like advising and like how exactly can the transition between your freshman and sophomore to your like actual like advisor like be more smoother. Like so like what I want to really implement is get an advisor that you can like build a relationship with over the course of 4 years, someone that you actually know and someone that you can like have like more than just small talk, awkward conversations, actually like have a relationship with that advisor.
And so that's sort of like what we would personally like to see. This past semester, we actually had the Vice Provost for Academic Advising, Dr. Julian, come in to present to our Senate. And for me, I was at that meeting. I fell in love with that plan. So as a point of information, her goal is it's a 3-year plan for about $2.3 million. And the idea is to hire more professional advisors. So currently how it might work right now is you have your first year advising at the university, college, and then after you finish your first year, different schools can look differently. So there might be full-time advisors. You might also have faculty advisors who, their main focus is like, of course, their faculty responsibilities. So kind of go ahead and advise towards the bottom of their list. So with Dr. Jones' plan, again, it's to hire more professional academic advisors to not only help students, but to lower the ratio from advisor to students. So just some facts. Currently, if you're a pre-health major or if you're on the pre-health track, currently there's one advisor for every 1,700 students. And that's a crazy number to think about. If you look from personal experiences, it's pretty helpful to kind of get stuck with advising. And then her goal is to bring it down to one advisor for every 350 students. And although that's pretty high, when you compare it to 1,700, that's a great change. And so we would like to see us, give our input to her plan, but we'd also like SGA to support her plan by bringing in students into her committees and just getting student input throughout those 3 years. So, our real academic advisor. Make it better.
Can you repeat the question, please?
The question is, pick one platform issue and why do you choose to focus on it?
So the issue that me and Sarah talked about most when we were working on our platform was really increasing engagement of students. So as the purpose of the student body is we're going out and seeking student concerns and trying to fix things and like that, but we also want to increase empowerment. So we want to talk to them about their issues, but then also involve them in the discussion of what we can actually do to change that and make things better for them.
I think going off of that, it's making sure that our students also are empowered. I mentioned that earlier, but 40 problems, 40 solutions. And I feel like if we really try to engage, we empower our students, not only our SGA members, but our students are on campus, and they know what SGA is. I think that's the biggest concern. If you look at our election that starts tomorrow, we have 15 senators running for 40 seats. And that just right there illustrates that SGA isn't doing its job. We're not reaching our students like we should be. And no one wants to get engaged because they simply don't know who we are. So I think that's super important. In addition, it's also making sure that people know that SGA does a lot more than appropriations. And it's also knowing, like, it's removing that stigma that we have around appropriations right now. Appropriations does a great job. They have distributed over $200,000 to student boards just this year. And that's impressive. And it's also awesome that students are getting to use that money. But at the same time, there's a lot of students that aren't getting that access. I've been on the other side of that table in a hearing, and it can be stressful. And if you don't know what's going on, you're gonna be frustrated. And I feel like definitely if we can make sure that students know the process from beginning to start, working with them before they even fill out their forms is really important as well. And we also want to encourage collaboration among students. That's the other part of really empowering students, is making sure that they're talking to one another in their student works so that they can make bigger betterments. For example, in engineering students, there's several different clubs of different types of engineers, and they got together and made one large lecture event. And that's really cool that they were able to collaborate together and build an event. And the only reason they were able to do that is because appropriations helped them through that process and guided them and said, hey, did you know you can collaborate on this? And then they They went away, they came back, and that's what they brought back. So that's really good.
So something for us that's been a really big issue, and I know for me personally, mental health. Actually, like this past year, one of our fellow VCU students, she was suffering from depression and she didn't know how to get help. And to me, that's just sad. I don't think anybody should be going through anything and not being able to reach out and get help. We're also have a medical campus, and our university focuses so much on physical health, but where's the mental health and all of that? So something that we want to do is to start implementing a bigger conversation about mental health, making more people aware of what it is, how to get help, and the resources we have on campus. And with that, we want to work with the counseling services. I know we talked about this in leadership multiple times. People say, I had trouble going to counseling, because they're always booked up. And it doesn't seem fair that not everybody can receive the help that they need, especially when it's mental health. How are you going to complete a test if you're going through something personal at home?
So I think, again, this goes back to our goal of educating our student body and our senators just more on the issues that affect everyone but are sort of hidden and not as visible to all. There's a stigma when it comes to mental health, not only here at VCU, it's international. It's an issue that's just now being discussed everywhere. And I think us being able to start implementing resolutions and things, asking for more counselors at the mental health center, and just sort of like telling our students that it's okay if you have any issues when it comes to mental health. It's just as important as being physically ill. I should know I'm physically ill all the time. I'm pretty prone to accidents. And then I think another issue, like we recognize that advising is really a mess right now, but we also know that the provost for advising, she has done an amazing job so far. And so we just want to make sure to be there to help her rather than just, focusing on that much, as seeing as so many things have already been implemented. Something that we want to focus more on is putting a polling location on campus. Voting is very important to me personally, but it's also very important to a lot of students here. One of my friends had to drive 3 hours to go home and vote since absentee ballots aren't really counted except for a tie. And so right now, I wrote the resolution last semester and it was passed, and we're now going to start working with nonprofit organizations that help JMU get their polling location, and they had the highest turnout rate at their voting station this past primary. So I just really think making it easier for our students to access and have a voice in politics and issues is really what we should be focusing on.
Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this event. Now we'll be opening the floor to any students that have questions.
All of the candidates must answer all of the questions. Are there any other questions on the floor?
So as Vice President and President, what do you guys expect to see Senate do in return to help you follow through the challenge?
So let's make sure I understand your question. Your question is, how will we as President, Vice President create a culture in the Senate to fulfill our goals in our platform?
Kind of just like what do you want Senate to do in return to help you fulfill your goals? So how do you want to just kind of what do you expect from us?
Okay, good question. So I always had this dream when I was a freshman that every senator kind of knew what they stood for, and then the student body would know what they stood for. That students would come up to the senators, tell them their concerns, and that they would start a process where the senator would not only care about that student concern, but work with those students to help them meet their goals. I remember my freshman year in Senate, we we had a very active Senate. There was over 60 people in it. And what really like helped push it through was that we all wanted to motivate each other. And I think that's kind of lacking in SGA. You kind of have division, not only from the three branches, there's a division between judicial, executive, and legislative, but then there's a division among committees. It's not one committee versus everybody. It's not, this is my team against your team. We want to have senators walk into a room knowing that they're in a safe environment. They can feel free to speak on student issues and represent a diverse group of people. And at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that senators know that they're holding a very important position in our university. There are only 40 senators representing everyone else, thousands of students in the Mineral Park campus. So placing value onto those senators.
Yeah, we plan on just having our plan really transparent and having everyone on board, try to get the Senate behind us because they control a lot of power here, pushing things forward. And our goal is just to create kind of a cohesive bond in between the three branches and make sure they interact more and not just so much on a professional level, but actually get to know and build connections with each other. So and we feel that connection there will help push SGA forward as a whole.
Can you repeat the question?
If I can paraphrase.
Aspects of your senators.
Okay.
So how do you want them to support?
Okay, so I think firstly, working with the senators to create a better bond between them and create a more, not safer, but more welcoming environment for senators. So once you're in there and you don't feel intimidated to go up and have ideas or express your opinions on things like that. So creating a better environment on the Senate floor, I think is going to go a long way to be able to implement things that we want to do. I think that Sarah and I have done a great job when we were working on our platform to create issues that we think are already prevalent on our campus and have already been actively working on. So I think that within the Senate, we already have people that are working on those things and just creating more of a passion and more of a drive for those people to do those things, to continue working on them is something that we really want to strive to do.
And I think it's also important to remember that while this may be our values, if the Senate and the student body feels that they want to look at different problems, then it's our job to adapt, like I mentioned before. And I feel like when you're working with a student body, working with the Senate of 40 students, there's a lot of different opinions going around. There's a lot of different passions. And so it's making sure that whatever issues come across our door, let's say if it's an environmental concern, it's finding people specifically that have a passion for environmental concern, that are willing to put their time and effort into working with the student works involved, making the difference on campus. And it's also making sure that they're willing to challenge the process. And let's say I say, man, I really think we should all wear blue. We were talking about this earlier. But I think we should all wear blue all the time. If someone disagrees with me, they should feel comfortable to challenge that process and make sure that they're comfortable to do that and have a voice and also just have exciting ideas. If you're really passionate about making the color purple of VCU instead of gold, that's okay. We encourage that. We want you to be welcome to do whatever you want. But we do have a platform and we do kind of want to guide you in the right direction to make sure that we are creating solutions on our campus, that we're working on different passions. And
I think it's our job as the president and vice president, to instill a vision in SGA. That's the number one priority. Everybody in SGA should feel inspired and understand what our purpose is and our main goal, which it should be helping the student body. So one of the ways that we want to do that is helping everybody inside SGA kind of come together and have this leadership building. And I think that that's really what I would like to see out of everybody in Senate and among ourselves, just building ourselves to be better leaders and being able to have those issues. And, like Sarah said, to come off and, say however you feel towards something and other people to respect it. We even say that in our Senate creed every day, to respect diversity and challenge situations. Challenges that demand it.
I think I was lucky enough my freshman year that there were people that were ready to graduate or they were ready to step off of SGA, giving me the opportunity to step up and become a leader. And I think that's something that we would like to instill. It's just that knowing when it's time to, kind of like back off a little bit and start being a follower rather than a leader in certain situations. If there's like learning that delegating is okay and it's acceptable, it doesn't make you any less dedicated or any less of a leader. And just encouraging that, encouraging bringing back student issues and the good of the student body back to our mission statement rather than just expecting everyone to, each for their own sort of like following that.
Are there any other questions on the floor? Okay, at this time, I'll give each of the candidates 1 minute to talk about any issues that you weren't able to. If you don't want to use this minute, you don't have to, but if there's anything you would like to communicate to these voters, feel free to do so at this time. Each person has 1 minute.
All right, kind of try to get out of platform one more time, and then just cover up the last thing that we were able to cover. So we talked about empowering the student body. We talked about improving the image of SGA. We talked about how we want to see diversity among our faculty and staff. We talked about the concerns of academic advising, and then our goal to empower student leaders and the rest of the student body through SGA. The one thing that we didn't get to cover was that we kind of want to close the communication gap, not only between SGA, but how the university communicates to the student body. So we all know the official way of communication is email, and a lot of information gets passed on through Telegram. You gotta ask yourself, do you read the Telegram every day at 2:30 in the morning or when you wake up or right before you go to bed? No, but there's a lot of great information. Not only on there, but VCU has a lot of great information everywhere, resources for its students. I like to joke about when they finish Cabell Library, they have PlayStation 4. I didn't know about that. I wish I knew about that. Cool. So, PlayStation 4, Cabell Library. I didn't know about that.
Gotcha.
Oh, you each of us have a minute?
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So yeah, like Sir Roger was saying, we really want to close the communication gap between the university and the students. And through my experience as an RA, I have a lot of involvement with freshmen, I have a lot of involvement with freshmen, and I think that the university can utilize that involvement the RAs have. We can really push messages they want to send, such as microaggressions talks through the OMSA office or the not anymore training that is mandatory for all students to complete. The RAs can serve a big part in communicating to a bunch of on-campus residents, and I feel that'd be a great way for me and Siraj to tackle that problem, the communication gap problem.
Okay, so something that we already talked about, but I just want to really reinforce and stress is that we really want to increase student engagement around campus, not just within SGA, but within everywhere in the student body. We know there are issues out there. We know there are people unhappy with certain things, and if we're able to go out and seek those issues and talk with them and be able to come to a solution and write things to help better the university, I think that's what our main goal is, to help do that. We also want to help continue to work with the partnerships we've already made and continue to help things with helping to better diversify our campus, not only with our students, but with our faculty and staff. And then also establishing better ways of communicating with those people that we've already been working with.
I think also when you look at SGAs across our state and across the nation, we tend to talk a lot about our campus and what our problems are, and that's really important, but I think it's also that we need to be representing VCU on a larger scale. Obviously the biggest issue that we're facing right now as students is that we have a lot of student debt. Especially me being an out-of-state student, I'll be paying $35,000 when I leave. That's my debt right now, and that's not including my master program I want to do. And it's becoming a reality that the master program might not be the best option for me as an out-of-state student. And those are concerns that students across our campus, across our state, and across our nation are facing. And a lot of the issues that we have on our campus, such as diversity and providing a safer environment and making sure that we're talking to different partnerships. And those are things that we can bring to the entire state of Virginia.
So 3 things to remember about Katie is internal, external, community. We want to focus on having an impact on the internal SGA as well as external organizations and partners at VCU. And then another important thing is also the community of Richmond. Our campus is in the middle of Richmond, and it's our job to take care of that environment that we live in. And we want to do all this through involvement, having an impact through involvement. You know, being involved with student organizations, having that conversation, hearing those issues, talking to people, and getting to know the community better than we have in the past.
And we are well aware that it doesn't specifically say in our mission statement that we're here to serve the people of Richmond, but we're here to serve the student body. But I believe that by doing community outreach, our senators and our student body, having those opportunities to reach out to the Richmond community will not only improve our publicity when it comes to the way that Richmonders view us, but it will also help to professionally and personally develop just our experience at VCU. It's only going to increase how amazing it is and just the way that our personalities develop during college. We believe that having, repurposing the membership committee internally into becoming human resources committee will help us create a more welcoming and just a more productive and environment within SGA, and that will again help get more people engaged and involved and will help us reach our goal.
Round of applause to all the candidates today. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out. I ask that the candidates make themselves available for a meet and greet right after this. If you have any questions for them that you would like to speak with them one-on-one with, please feel free to do so. If not, thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God.
They wrote about that. They think they were funny, but it's actually that's our estimate. How about the drive? So they covered 9.
Let's end the slide.
Good job.
Let's see. Oh, we had 4 viewers.